So, looking back, what motivated you to finally start well, I guess I should ask first, what were you using before Happy Charting?
Pen and paper.
Ooh, it was- How long were you using it for?
I mean, since I started, so 2003, 2004 is when I started.
Oh my gosh, 18 years, is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, I've been part-time, like raising my kids, and like this was sort of on the back burner. And now that they're like teenagers and don't want anything to do with me, like the past 2 years, I've really, and really just the past year, like dove in more wholeheartedly to paid work. I mean, I have been doing it all this time, but not like, full on.
Full on. So you started kind of 2 years and then the last year really full on getting into it. And then what made you
Yeah.
get motivated or decide to you want to go into electronic charting this year?
Because I started taking insurance. I just had to up my game in terms of charting. And last winter I was like, oh my goodness, this is horrible. Like I was doing so like it used to just be like my own chicken scratch for me to understand like what did I do. But I wasn't concerned about anyone else looking at it. I wasn't really concerned ever about being sued for malpractice or anything. So it was really just for me. And then suddenly it was like, oh, someone might actually look at all my notes and I need to explain why I'm doing what I'm doing and, sort of give them a reason to pay me. So that was the motivation.
Hmm. So it was when you started with insurance and then you realized, was there a specific moment that you were like, oh, or something, or a specific thing where you were looking at your notes or something where you were like, oh, maybe I need to like change this or something needs to shift?
Well, yeah, when I started taking insurance, I created like a soap note kind of thing and also an intake, a very extensive intake. And so I think it was like this winter when I was like spending like 2 or 3 Sundays in a row, like figuring out how to write everything I needed to write. And I was like, oh, this is ridiculous. And so I think that's when and my friend who takes insurance was like laughing at me. He's like, I can't believe you're writing this all by hand. That's so stupid. He's like, you have to do electronic billing. So I think the combination of just spending my Sundays doing this and feeling like, no, no, I don't want to do that. So yeah, it's just so much simpler. I mean, I had to get over the hump, and in some ways it's simpler for me to write things out, but I'm getting used to this. And really how I work it is I only see one person at a time. So I'll put the needles in, and then while the person has the needles in, I'll just do all like when I'm with my patients, I still just write by hand. But I just like jot down a few notes enough that I know what I need to put in the chart. So still that's not legible. But then while they have the needles in, I spend 15 minutes just like filling the chart out. I mean, it probably doesn't even take that long. Depends on the person.
Okay, so I just want to go back. You said you're spending a couple Sundays. What's the process of doing it by hand? Was it like taking your chat notes and then you have to fill out these forms, or why was it taking so long?
I might have like the handwritten if I have any. It was just like having to rewrite everything, you know, like the chief complaint and everything I observe about them and their stool and their thirst and their, like whatever I wanted to have. It used to be I knew a patient. I knew like, oh, this person has good digestion. I don't need to write about that. Or this person has poor digestion. It was like it used to be I just wrote in the notes what was a standout. But I I would remember, 60 to 70% of the information about someone. So I didn't bother to write all that down. But with an insurance company, I need to write 100% of the information every time. So this way with the electronic charting, I can just copy it and then go through and like make a few changes, but I'm not writing everything each time. It's
Mm-hmm.
just like click, boom. Okay, I got the whole chart filled out. And then I just, make whatever changes I need to make.
So how has that changed now since you've moved on to Happy Charting? You said you still write with paper and jot in between, and then you go later. Like, how does that all work?
This week I start, okay, I don't actually need the paper. Like, so now I'm not going to keep putting the paper in the chart. Like today, actually, this was last week, this patient. And
Mhm.
today, this is what I wrote.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm like, okay, I need just really the bare minimum because I'm not even going to put this in like some paper folder anymore. And I'm just doing away with the paper business
Mm,
and trying to just have everything on the computer.
mhm,
But it's been for me at like slowly easing my way out of it. And
mhm.
I also very much don't want to be sitting with a computer while I'm talking to a patient.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel strongly about that. So, like, for me, just to have a pad and jot a few things down doesn't feel distracting in the way that if I sat with the computer. Whereas, like, my friend, the one who was laughing at me, he sits with his computer
Mhm.
when he's talking to patients.
Um,
But, everyone has their own way.
mhm. So you said they have the needles and you go, you jot down notes. Do you do your charting all at the end of the day then when you take all your notes and then you do it, or when
No,
you
I try and do it like with each patient at a time so that at the end of the day, I don't have anything left to do.
really?
So when they have the needles in, like I usually, even if I come back and change the needles or whatever, they're going to be there for 10 minutes and then I check on them and 10 minutes, they usually have needles for 20 to 30 minutes. So there's enough time in there, even if it's broken down and I'm still tending to the patient, there's enough time for me to get everything done. And I'm really just like, after those few Sundays of spending time charting, I'm like, no, that is not how I'm spending my life. Like, I am going to chart and put in also the billing because most of it is billed through insurance at this point. So
Mhm.
and that literally takes like a minute or less. I might spend 15 minutes just sort of cleaning up what I screwed up during the day, but it's not much time.
So just wondering, on the Sundays, because it reminds me, my mom's an acupuncturist, so is my dad, but she's only just started. We've had happy charting for what, 7 years now. She's only just started um, deciding to try it. But she also, so she does New Zealand insurance, and so she will spend her Saturdays or Sundays for 5 hours or so just handwriting from all the details from paper to paper. I just wanted to ask you, like, how long did it take you? And then in comparison, what's the process for you now?
Well, there's two different kinds of there's the first appointment where someone comes and it's a whole long thing and there's that chart. And then there's all of follow-up appointments. So that's just a soap note thing. And what I learned is that actually insurance here doesn't pay for that first appointment. Nothing.
Oh,
So I stopped billing for it completely. So I just bill every appointment, even the first appointment, just as a regular appointment. I don't do I still do the intake for me, but I don't need to chart it for the insurance company because they're not going to pay me for it. So I
mm,
don't bother. So that was, whoa, that was part of what was taking so long. It's just that initial appointment. There's so much information.
mm,
And so now I just I'm like, well, if you're not going to pay me for it, I'm not going to bother writing it all down for you. I'm just going to write what I need to know. So now it's just the soap notes basically. And so what was your question? So how long did it take now? I mean, I'm only seeing about 10 patients a week. So I don't know how many people your mom is seeing. And because I'm only seeing 10 people a week, I just do one at a time. Like I just like the rhythm of that. ideally I'd like to see 15 people a week. The truth is I don't want to go much beyond that right now. Like that's a perfect amount for me. Like 5 patients, 3 days a week, then I still have my life to,
Yeah.
I like my kids still, they're still in the house, whatever, like then I have a nice work balance. So I don't know, it just really it takes like 5 minutes maybe a patient to just put all the information in.
Wow.
Um, it's pretty quick. And I'm not like doing the best job charting. Like I'm, on a scale of 1 to 10, if a 10, or like whatever, an A, I'm not doing an A plus job. I'm doing like a B plus kind of job. And I just feel like it's good enough. You know,
Mm.
I just try and make it like in a way that's gonna work for the insurance companies, like in a way that makes sense for them. Part of what I want to change about the chart is I want to make more space for me to write the notes that I need that they don't really care about and sort of like integrate my handwritten scribbles into the happy charting. Because I feel like right now the happy charting is just to satisfy the insurance company. And actually, now that I realize, oh, I can get rid of all this paper, I feel like the next step is to merge the two realities.
Yeah. And yeah, you said I think you wanted to change your fast chat again.
Yeah.
So if you were to explain in your own words, like what do you value about happy chatting? Like why was it a good shift for you from paper? Just to like explain to other acupuncturists or, if they don't know happy chatting.
Well, I think the first thing was you. Like that was the biggest thing. Like you were really responsive and helpful and your videos are amazing. Like your how-to videos, they're so clear and so that I felt like even when I wasn't speaking with you, you were like holding my hand through the whole process. And that was like that was huge because I'm like a Luddite. Like I'm completely like I barely look at my email. My husband's like, "Hello, like people actually need to read their email today. Like, people are expecting you to respond to, I read my work email, but like my personal email, it's just, I barely function in this world of technology. So you made it possible for me to feel like, okay, I can do this. And I think it also helped. There was like a 3 month trial or something. So that was like, okay, I can try it and see. And I liked, truthfully, like when I was just doing a Google search, I mean, I think the name is good because like you think charting, oh, that's going to be miserable. And it's like happy charting. And you have such a friendly voice and you make it seem like, oh, maybe, maybe I could be happy while I'm doing this, which I feel like I am now. But it was hard to imagine that. And and then there was what else was it? Oh, I think I'm forgetting if it was a mindful. I was laughing because I hired one billing company that was horrible, like a nightmare. And so then I was speaking to a friend who was like, you can fire them. Like you're in charge. And so then I just did this Google search and I found this thing called mindful billing. Oh, and I connected the two of you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So Annabelle also is lovely and she's so good. She's on top of everything and it's a complete like I felt like completely inapt with this first billing company and now I feel like oh I can do the billing. And so it was like happy charting and mindful billing and but I think the basic point is like it felt possible that I actually could do it and do it with ease. Oh, I know. I think in the mind, I don't, do you talk about how you're focused on practices that I think this is just the mindful billing where they focus on small practices. I don't think you talk about that in your advertising at all.
We like to focus on solo practitioners. Definitely, I think we tend to get a lot more on the spectrum, whether they're new or part time or full time. But I think it's more kind of they just want something simple, and it's more like compared to the other softwares out there that are more for multi-practitioners and they need a ton of all these features and all these
Right.
things, and we're
Right.
kind of more for smaller ones who
Right.
maybe they're the own owners and they just want to run their practice and they
Right.
don't want to have
And
to
so
work.
that really appealed to me. Like, because there are other things that just seem very intimidating. I was like, okay, I'm not going to go there. And this just seemed like it was the right fit for where I'm at in my practice. And it definitely, it doesn't hurt that you have this really sweet New Zealand accent. Like, because like that, that's just like, I mean, for me, it's like nostalgic of like when I was in Australia. But I think for the average American, it's like, nicer. like like you have that going for you. It just like it's sort of like this like, oh, this person's going to be nice and helpful and which is totally ridiculous because, people are people and some are nice and some aren't. But it was part of the appeal on some like subconscious level. But the thing that really like your videos were just perfect. So,
That's amazing. And you're talking about the videos on YouTube or the videos through the
yeah.
course? Yeah, on
Well,
YouTube.
both.
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 Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
it's amazing. I'm so glad. That makes me feel so happy because the main thing is just we want it to be easy. And I was so like it was so easy for me to like you're also very lovely and very happy. Like I'm very happy to help, you know. And I remember, you coming back and then having you needed like more time and you were asking for templates and things and asking about insurance billing, but like we like that because it genuinely shows that you're interested in making an effort and trying to like see how the ways in which, and we don't mind whether it takes a long time or a short time. What we care about is like that we find something that works for you. So I'm really glad
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
got your billing sorted too with Annabelle. That makes me
Right.
really
And
happy.
it did take me a while. I think I reached out to you. It was around Christmas time or New Year's. Like it was the dead of winter here. And I didn't really get going with this until I don't know when. It was like May or something. It
Yeah,
was kind of recent.
yeah.
There was a lot of resistance to overcome.
I can imagine. What was the? Tell me about some of that resistance. I'm interested to know.
Um, well, I mean, you're doing something one way for, 18 years and suddenly you have to change. I think for like new practitioners or people who are like I'm 50, so like people who are younger.
The 50. Oh my gosh, I had no idea.
um so like people who are younger might just have less resistance off the bat, right? And then I'm even for like the average 50-year-old, I'm like completely not into computers. I also think there's probably a lot of people who are acupuncturists who aren't so into computers. It's sort of they don't necessarily go hand in hand, but that's not totally true. Like my friend George is like a computer geek and also an acupuncturist. So I don't know. I don't like being on computers. Like it doesn't, I feel like in a subtle, energetic way, it doesn't nourish me. So the thought of having to do that with every patient is like, oh, I just want to write with pen and paper. But I found because it's so quick, I can handle it. I mean, I was sort of in a catch 22. Like, I wanted to take insurance because I want to be accessible. But to take insurance, I need to bill in a certain way and I need to chart in a certain way. And so to make it all work and have me still have my weekends, I needed to compromise. So it was sort of like, okay, I'll give.
You said, okay, I'll give it a shot. Did you search for, like, what was your process? Did you search and look at other softwares as well before finding us?
I did. I didn't actually speak with anyone, I don't think. I just did like literally a Google search and I came across you and a few others that I don't remember. And I think the thing that struck me was the like that it didn't seem so complicated and it was more focused on solo practitioners. And then I think I emailed you and you got right back to me and you were helpful and patient. And so I thought, okay, I'll give it a try. And I think it was AccuBilling was the first billing company I worked with. It was horrible. They were, I don't like speaking badly about people, but they, I think they should go out of business. They were like, it was horrible. And then I felt like, well, I'll give it a try. If it doesn't work, I can change it in 3 months. I was sort of feeling empowered that, like, yep, you just got to try it. And a friend of mine said, it's always good in business to fail fast. And I was like, okay, if it doesn't work, change it up. So I just took a chance.
And how do you feel about it now?
Oh, I'm so happy that I did it. It's I still I'm still not 100% used to it. There's still, like, in the beginning I would have to watch your videos. Like, I'd watch it, I'd know how to do it, and then I'd forget and I'd watch the video again. And like, there were some videos that I watched like 2 or 3 times, and I'm resisting changing the fast chart just because it's like, ugh, when I'm not with patients, like, I don't really want to be, like, I need to be in a certain mood where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sit down and do it. I've just sort of, there's been a just like, keep it simple, just do what you need to do. It's still like, I'm not, I think it'll get better and better.
Mm. I think, and it's always an iterative process. It's kind of like when someone first builds their acupuncture clinic. You don't have all the systems, but you just start
Yeah,
and then you
yeah,
slowly improve them over time.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm also always here. So if you're like, oh, I know I need to do this, like we can always hop on a Zoom call and you're like, I don't know with the fast chat, I want to do it like this. I can just sit here, keep you company, help you create it. Or if you want to, like, do your intake form, I can create it on there with you. Like I'll do it and then I can show you whatever. Like I'm always here if you're just like, I can't do this on my own. I need someone to, like, pick me up that
yeah.
do it with me. Like just send me an email and I can be here for you. Or like
Oh, that's great.
answer any questions or anything. Yeah,
Thank you.
you're
Yeah.
welcome.
So you started 7 years ago with this?
Yeah, we weren't, I mean, it took a few years even to just get it developed and started. Like the
Mhm.
first year, we only had like 10 people and we hadn't even developed yet. In the second year, like it
Yeah,
was kind of like a slow, kind of a, you were with acupuncture, it was kind of part time because we didn't
yeah,
know
yeah,
if it would go anywhere. I'd
yeah,
say really in the last like 3 to 4 years, we've kind of built it out and just regularly had acupuncture. And then COVID hit. So that
yeah.
kind of had a little dent. But
Right,
um,
right.
yeah, I think we've had acupuncture clinic for maybe 5+ years now. All of our clinics are from the States. So,
Okay.
but we kind of didn't really focus on insurance at the time because I think when you started too, we weren't connected with Annabelle at the time. And so we didn't know, we couldn't for sure give insurance advice and say, like, this is how you would use heavy chatting to do it.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I keep charts. I mean, both for my own, like, to remember and be able to look back and see what I did, but also it's just, if an insurance company says they want to investigate
oh, I see.
or see what I'm doing, like, you know, 85 to 95% of the time, like, they don't ever check up on your charts or anything. It's not the norm, although they sometimes do. So you need to, and if they do and you don't have them, then they can go back many years and say, oh, well, we're gonna, you know, you need to pay us back because you didn't prove why why we should pay for this. So, it's all sort of preemptive.
Got it.
Like preempting it's kind of like being what's it called with taxes, with the government looks at your taxes, I'm forgetting,
Yeah,
when they look
actually, my mum got an audit, so
audit.
that was a nightmare
Right.
for her because she was using paper. So
Yeah,
yeah, it was a
exactly.
nightmare.
Well,
Also,
I think it's kind of funny that your mom hasn't hasn't started using your
it
services.
made her decide to really look at electronic. I think the whole experience.